So, we created some basic setup for our platform. Let's climb one more step. In this video, we are going to add better collision system, multi-touch and jumping system. So let's start. First, we need some rearrangements. Like, instead of updating player y by gravity, let's update by y velocity. And we change the y velocity to y velocity plus gravity when not on floor. Okay. Let's add up to 4 platform for now. And rename it to platform 1, 2 and so on. Hide every platform except one. We can make a list of platforms which containing another list. Which containing the properties of the platforms. Like the first index is x, then y, then height and width. At last the sprite itself. We don't need these blocks anymore. Let me copy them first. You don't need to set the values exactly like this. It's up to the level design. What we need to do is set the values when screen initializes. So how can we set the values? Just loop through each of our platforms and set its properties using any image sprite blocks. Here, the x value of the platforms are the first index of the list item. Likewise, set the y value which is the second index. Actually, the get item returns the specific platform values. We need the component which is in the fifth index. Copy the blocks and set values for x, y, width and height. Here is how you can set a more useful collision system. Create a procedure named check collision or similar. We need an input axis which is just a string. And we loop through each platforms, or in general, objects we need to check collisions. We need to store some variables to store the current platform's values, which is in the list actually, but the blocks become longer, so let's do it this way. Initialize platform X, platform Y, platform width and platform height, all to 0. Now in the loop, when we access each platform, we are going to retrieve the values through their index. Same as before, X is the first, Y is the second and so on. Okay, let me explain the collision system. We are going to use AABB collision system because all our bounding boxes are rectangles. Here is how it works. Our player and the platforms have x and y coordinates on top left. So if we just add width to x, we get the right edge. Likewise, if we add the height to y, we get the bottom edge. And if the bottom edge is greater than the y value of the platform, nothing happens because this is also the same situation. To actually collide, not only the one axis need to check, we need to check if the right edge is also greater than the x value of the platform. Now, if the player was moving in positive x-axis and collision happened, we can reset its values to player x. Here is how you can implement that. We need 4 conditions to prove if collision happened. 2 conditions for each axis. So, 3 AND blocks. Let's check x first. Check if player x is less than platform x plus platform width. player X plus player width is greater than platform X. In that case, player is inside the platform in X-axis. Like I explained before, that doesn't mean collision happened. We need to check the same for Y-axis. So, duplicate for Y-axis and change the values for Y. If player Y is less than platform Y plus platform height and player Y plus player height is greater than platform Y. If these conditions is true, the player is colliding with the platform. Now the important part. We need to resolve this collision based on the axis. That's why we have an axis parameter. So, we check if the axis equals x. If true, we check the direction of the movement through value of x velocity. If greater than 0, player is moving from left to right. Now we can set the x value of the player to the platform minus the player width. And set the x velocity to 0. So the player is stopped. Likewise, if direction is opposite, we set the x position to platform x plus platform width. We need to subtract the player's height here. So maybe, yes, here also. In this block, we need to set the on-for variable to true. Because we have positive y velocity means we are from the top to bottom. And hit a platform means we are on the ground. Now let's move on collide. We don't need the previous collision checks. Let me just... Okay. Now we can call the collision function with x as the parameter after movement in x position and y as parameter after y movement. Here it is, through the first platform. We will look into that later. But first, let's test the y collision. Let me hide this and set up only one platform. Alright. Gravity is only updated when not on 4 and never resetted. Instead of inside this condition, let's update gravity every frame. And set the y velocity to 0 when on 4. Else the value accumulates. There we go. We can set up a better input system. For that, initialize some variables. Maybe just input left and set to false. Likewise, input right. Okay, we don't need these procedures anymore. We are going to set up a variable driven input system inside our main loop. When each touchdown event happens, set its input values to true. Likewise, set false when touch-up event happens. Come to our main loop, we need a condition with else if and else. Now we check if input left is true. If yes, decrease the x velocity to -10. Else if input right is true, the opposite. And else set the x velocity to 0. To run our game faster, we can decrease the main loop's interval. We are currently not updating our values based on change in time, also known as delta time. So, decrease in time interval increases FPS, which increases overall movement speed. The jump mechanism. Add a sprite for input. Rename it temporary sprite image and increase the size. Let's set up its touch event. With jump touchup, first we need the variable input jump. Okay, set that to false. And wait, let me clear these blocks. Okay, and when touched down, jump input to true. Let's set up in the loop. First, we need to check if our player is on floor, or else we can jump mid-air. And the input jump is true. Set the y velocity to something like -100 or maybe -50. That will be enough. Set on floor to false and don't set the velocity values after collision check. The order is all velocity calculations, then position updation of one axis, resolve that axis collision and the next axis, and collision check. Now let's set the variable jump, which we can see in many games like Hollow Knight. For that, when we release the jump button, we check if the velocity is more than a threshold. And if true, limit that y velocity to that threshold. Currently, our player can either move left or right or jump. Can jump and go left. It's because of the touch event system in MIT App Inventor. It limits only one touch at a time. So we need a workaround. I went online and did some research, but I couldn't find any solutions or any useful extensions. So I made it myself. Introducing multi-touch extension. Wait, that's why the player went through the platform. The collision detection is not inside the each platform loop. Okay. Another problem with the canvas is the sprites can't go outside of it. We can fix that by adding a horizontal or vertical arrangement and dragging our canvas into that. If we set the canvas size by pixel and not using any fill parent, we can set higher values and sprites can go outside. For the multi-touch to work, we need to register a view, which is either arrangement or canvas in our case. So when screen initialize, register our component. We are going to track our touchdown using finger IDs. For that, initialize 3 finger IDs for 3 inputs and set them to -1, which is a null value in our case. Now grab our previous touch-up and touchdown events and drag them together like this and done. Now add the new events and we check if a touchdown is inside a button, which is literally a collision check between the touch coordinates and the corresponding sprite. With this condition, we are checking if the touch is inside the bounding box of the left button. And if yes, set the left finger ID to event ID and input left to true. Now duplicate the condition and check the same for the right. Set right finger ID to ID. Input right to true. Again, same for the jump button. We don't have to check coordinates for touch up. We can check whether the ID is equal to each finger ID when even happens and set the values accordingly. Like if ID equals to left finger ID, reset the finger ID and set input left to false. Now set the variable jump, which I explained before from our previous touch-up event. The touch was actually giving different values between actual coordinates and canvas, so I updated the extensions to take care of the density too. So, we better set the register component to canvas instead of the arrangement. Increase the size of the canvas as much as you want, so we can move sprites outward. I'm just moving the buttons and the platforms so it doesn't look messy. As I said before, the position and the size of the platforms and the buttons are completely up to you. You can set the screen background color to any light colors so you can understand the size of the canvas. There we go. In the next tutorial, we will set up sprite animations, some system improvements and much more. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.